Hola, ¿qué tal amigos? Con ustedes Marielena Cortés, brillando. Today we are going to be speaking in English mainly because I want to hear from you guys. What do you prefer? Last time we were speaking in English and Spanish, and I had a lot of people asking me, can you please just stay speaking in English? So I want to know who's following us. What do you want to hear mainly, English or Spanish? For today's show, I am honored and I'm so excited to introduce to you a man that I met and I admire and I've been so inspired and motivated. His name is Gabriel Najera.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you for that introduction. Yes, my name is Gabriel and I'm a motivational speaker. I do travel the world giving my motivation speech called If I Can, You Can, or in Spanish, which I do a lot of Latin America, is Si Yo Puedo, Tú Puedes. Kind of what my t-shirt here says, Si Yo Puedo, Tú Puedes, which is a motivation about letting the world know that everything is possible. And life is about possibilities, and life is about taking advantage of what's given to us and making the best of it.
That's right. And you know what? Today's quote is, do not focus on the uncontrollable variables, the things that we cannot control. So I want you to share with us your experience, because you don't focus on anything negative. You try to focus more on the good and enjoy life to its fullest potential. So that's why I want our youth and our families to learn today, that no matter how sometimes life gets, we need to just focus on the good, on the things that we do have control over.
Well, yeah, I mean, especially like that with me, that has been most of my life, has been, I was born with no arms, and my legs, I have my legs and my feet, but they weren't fully developed. And so that's an uncontrollable variable. I mean, there's nothing I can do about it. I'm already in this body. So I've got to make the best of what I've got with this body. And so far, being born with no arms hasn't stopped me from doing anything. I went through my childhood, stage, playing with like other kids with the toys that everybody played with. I went through my, adulthood and, through life and trying to do everything the same way that most people do everything with their hands, but I had to learn how to do it with my feet. My feet are my hands. So my controllable variable, I guess you could say, would be, my mind. That
Yes.
in my mind, I can adapt to whatever circumstances I have to live with. The uncontrollable variable is my body. My body is the way it is, and that's it. Can't change it.
Yeah, and when I met you, so I had the honor to meet you at a conference. I had the chance to listen to your story, which was really inspiring. For me as a teacher, I feel like parents are the most important piece of the puzzle when it comes to family. And you were blessed with an amazing family, a mother who, when she could no longer control certain things, then took over and did certain things. So I want you to share that story about your youth and how you ended up, you were born in Mexico, but you ended up living here in the United States. So tell our audience that part of the story.
Yes, I was born in Mexico City, back in 1966, and which makes me 52 right now. And the 1960 area was the time of Mexico that handicapped people didn't stand much of a chance to do anything with their lives. It was a time and era where if you were born with a handicap or you had any kind of handicap, people would just, kind of push you aside and kind of hide you because they would be either embarrassed or they didn't know how to treat somebody, with a handicap. They would treat people with a handicap like if they had some kind of disease. And a handicap is not a disease. A handicap is just a different lifestyle. It's not a disease, something that's contagious, nor is it something that can be cured. It's just simply living differently. And so my parents, they figured out from the time that I was little that, hey, I did have something between my ears besides, the wax in my ears. And so they decided that I needed to have the same opportunity as everybody else in being able to have a full education. So it just so happened that, as they were looking for a school throughout Mexico but couldn't find one because And I was very discriminated, by people just looking at me and saying, "Oh, he'll never be able to learn anything. How can he learn? He doesn't have any arms." Well, that wasn't the case, and my parents knew that. They knew that I had an opportunity, that I was able to learn, and so they kept looking and looking until one day they finally ran into this doctor that was a doctor from the Shriners Hospital here in Houston that recommended a school that was a school for the handicapped. And this school happened to be in this little town called Port Arthur that's about an hour and a half from Houston. That was a school strictly for handicapped kids. Mm-hmm. But it was a school. It wasn't just a daycare. It wasn't just a place where people, would drop their kids off, and forget about them. But it was actually a school that taught you just like any other regular school.
Yes, and I think that's the way it should be.
Yeah, and so
children should not be segregated at all.
Yeah, I had the full opportunity of being educated just like any other kid. From there, I went on to I graduated from the public high school there in Port Arthur. Back then, it used to be called Thomas Jefferson High School. And then from there, I went on to Lamar University to study computer science, and eventually became a systems engineer.
And that was fascinating to me when you said that, and then you said, but now I get to speak and I get to do all these things. So at what point in your life after you graduated as an engineer did you think, okay, I think I need to do something else?
Well, actually, it was probably about 15, 20 years into my career. I graduated with my degree and everything as a systems engineer, but I tried to look for work in that area. Nobody would hire me at first until I decided, well, if nobody's going to hire me, then I'll just start my own business. And so that's how I started making my living, by creating my own income through my own company. Mm-hmm. And I ran that business for about 18 years until finally one day, all of a sudden, I ran into somebody on the street that saw me get out of my car. I drive my own car, I drive with my feet, and people are always amazed when they see me get out of the car or get into the car on the driver's side. People come up to me and they're like, "Wow, are you really going to drive this car? I can't believe you're really going to drive it." And so sometimes people see me get out of the car and they walk up to me and they're like, "Oh, wow, that's amazing. Are you by yourself?" And when they see that nobody else is in the car with me, they're like, "Wow, this is really cool." Well, I had one of those instances where the lady that came up to me when she saw me get out of the car, and she's like, I got to thank you. And I'm like, why? Why do you have to thank me? I didn't do anything. I just came here to the store to buy some stuff that I needed. And she's like, "No, I've got to thank you." She said, "You don't know, but I've got my son in the car with me. We're parked behind you, and we saw you when you got here, and you parked your car and you're right in front of us, and you got out of the car, and you got out from the driver's side, and nobody else was in the car with you." She said, "And we waited for you to go in the store and come out of the store, and you walked out the store carrying your own bags from the stuff that you purchased, and you walked back to the car, to the driver's side. You opened the door like you were going to drive again." And she said, at that moment, my son turned around and said, "Mom, I don't have any reason to complain." Because the mother told me that they'd been sitting there in the car for 30 minutes arguing back and forth about, the fact that the guy was 18 years old. He was a school dropout. He dropped out when he was 16. And he felt that he had no life left. He felt that his life was over because, all of a sudden he didn't have an education but needed to make an income. Yeah. Well, after he saw me do all of that, get out of the car, go in the store, come back out, he turned around and he told his mom, "Why am I complaining? I've got my 2 arms, my 2 legs, I've got a brain, I still have a life, From that moment, that lady said that she felt like she had to thank me because she felt like I had saved her son's life. I changed his life.
That's right. And
without even noticing it.
And sometimes you do things and you don't even realize, right?
I didn't even realize it. And that's where all of a sudden I realized that, wow, do I really have that kind of an impact on people? They see me on the streets, they see me walking down the street, and they'll come up to me and hug me, and they're like, "Man, you just don't know. I've been watching you walking down the street, and I feel totally different. I feel like, wow, my life has a purpose.
That's right. And we have to go on commercials, but on a break. But we'll be right back with Gabriel Najera sharing his story, how he is impacting so many lives. And stay tuned because you're going to be inspired. Hola amigos, estamos aquí de regreso con Brillando con Marielena Cortés y de invitado tenemos a Gabriel Najera, una persona que es una inspiración y una motivación para todos nosotros. Hoy estamos transmitiendo el programa en inglés. Para todos ustedes que no hablan inglés, queremos saber qué prefieren, o tal vez hacemos uno en inglés y uno en español, porque me llegaron muchísimos mensajes que ustedes lo preferían más en inglés. So I'm going to go back to English because I was just letting my Spanish audience know that there was a request that we do it more, do the program in English, but I do want to hear from my Spanish speakers, make sure that we are if there is a need to do it in English and Spanish, I would gladly do it. I'll alternate and do one in English and one in Spanish. But we are back with Gabriel Najera. I'm so excited that you're here because there's so many projects that I look forward to doing with you. I really am. I work with a lot of kids who are always making excuses for things.
Yeah.
I'm this, I'm that. I want to be like this. I want to be like that. And as you know, when I battled cancer this year, I've always been very positive, but I was put to the test with my little illness that I had, or big illness, I would say. But it was very unexpected. And one of the things that really helped me is surrounding myself with people that were inspiring me to stay focused, to focus on the good, to not pay attention on the things that we cannot control. So I want to would like for you to share with you what are some of the things that help you stay focused? Because I know you probably either get discouraged sometimes, or maybe people come up to you and ask you some questions of how they can apply things in their own life. What kind of, ahora sí que consejos, what kind of advice would you want to give to the people that have all these excuses and they are constantly, not reaching their goals and reaching their full potential?
Well, I do a lot of personal coaching, and when I do personal coaching with people, the first thing I always ask them is, do you have what you want in life? Are you at a point in life where you're happy with what you've got? And of course, the reason they come to me for coaching is because they're not. But they have to admit to themselves that they're not happy, that they're not at a point in their life where they would like to be. And so the first thing I say is, why are you not at the point in your life where you'd like to be? And that's where they start, well, because of this and because of that. And we're like, okay, I'll tell you what, you got 3 minutes to tell me everything that you don't like. And after 3 minutes, I don't want to hear any more about what you don't like. And I want to start talking about solutions.
Yes.
Solutions, how to find a solution to everything that you don't like, and start thinking about how you can turn things around and make them to where they make you happy.
That's right.
Growing up with no arms made me always look at every object and every situation in life and put myself into that position or into that object and say, okay, how am I going to use, like for instance, when I was a little kid, how am I going to play with that toy? Most people would grab the toy with their hands and, do this and that with, like, take, for instance, a Rubik's Cube. People would take the Rubik's Cube with their hand without thinking about it. Well, it's not the same thing to grab it with your feet. So my mind is automatically trained into, okay, what's the solution? Not what's the problem. The problem we know exists. The problem we know is there. Why dwell on it? Mm-hmm. Let's dwell on the solution. Let's find the solution so we can move on.
That's right. So you have become a problem solver, basically.
I'm a problem solver just by nature. Because of the fact that I've always had to find a way to do everything. My mind has adapted to creating the circumstances available to be able to do it with my feet.
Yes, and I always encourage kids. I love what you said about just stop and think, and come up with a solution. I always tell my kids, make sure you grab a pen, a pencil, some paper, and write it down, because that's how you can kind of weigh it out, and you can see, okay, you know what? This problem is really not that big. I can solve it, if I do this and this. And a lot of times, people sometimes they just don't want to they make excuses, or they want to be lazy. They don't want to sit and think about it. And I think you just said something. If we can stop looking at problems and just look at it as an opportunity to solve a problem, I think we can do so much more.
Right. Well, actually, it's not our fault. We're programmed since we're little. Ever since we're little, we're programmed by our parents and by our grandparents to be negative. You know, most kids, you know, live in an environment where they're negative. So we grow up to imitating our parents and our grandparents, and imitating the way that they're always complaining about, you know, this hurts and that hurts. And I think we got a phone call here, and we work on the example that our parents placed before us, and that's how we that's how we think, is by the way that they imitate us.
Well, looks like we have a call from one of our people listening, so let's go ahead and take the call.
Yes, hello.
Hello? Thank you for calling.
Hello, you guys. This is Mark Sedgwick, your son.
Oh, hi, Mark. How are you? I'm
Hello,
sorry you
very
couldn't
well.
make it today.
Yes, I'm very sorry I could not make it today. I really wanted to be there to meet Gabrielle Nakada. Really looking forward to it, but I'm sorry I couldn't make it. But my question is more on the maybe possibly on the darker side, but you know, with the light there comes dark. So, or with the darkness, you have to get through the darkness to go to the light. So my question for you, Gabrielle, is what has been your toughest trial in your journey of life so far, with you know, with this disability that you have had to overcome, and how did you overcome it?
Well, the most difficult part of my life has always been trying to get people to think that I can versus I can't. Most people look at me, you know, without knowing who I am or anything like that, and they think that I can't do, you know, anything for myself, that, you know, I'm pretty much dependent on someone else to do things for me, which is totally not true. I'm totally independent. And the hardest part of my life has been changing people's ways of thinking, you know, and stop looking at me like I'm a total invalid, or, you know, can't do, or a vegetable, you know, that can't do nothing, and then I have to prove to them that I can. That's been the hardest part of my life. I wouldn't say that it's my dark spot. You mentioned, you know, going from the dark to the light. There doesn't have to be a dark spot when there's light, because darkness cannot enter where there's light.
That's right, and that's beautiful. Mark, I'm glad you called, because I did forget to mention that you're getting ready to start school, and your schedule interferes with the show, the program. But I still want you to connect with us, maybe via Skype in some of the future programs, because your input is very valuable to me. First of all, I love your thinking. I love your questions. That was a very good question for Gabriel, and you're going to get to meet him in person Saturday, so we'll talk about that in the next segment. Are we ready for commercials? Not yet. Okay.
Hey, awesome. Thank you. I can't wait to meet you. I look forward to it, and I can't wait to be back on the show. So, thank you.
All right, look forward to meeting you Saturday. Take care.
All righty, yes, sir. You guys enjoy. Bye.
Gracias, Mark. I'm glad he called. I know he was disappointed. He really wanted to be here. But sometimes, you know, I like that he's choosing what his priority is right now, which is college and finish college.
Yes, definitely.
So, yes. Now, talking about college, maybe tell us an anecdote or a little funny story, something that you might want to share from college.
Well,
You shared a little one at the conference, but I don't know if you have other ones. Let's go ahead and go in commercials, and when we come back, hold on to that thought and share with us your funniest experience in college.
Okay.
Thank you. We are back with Gabriel Najera, and he's going to share with us a funny anecdote from college.
Well, I mean, I had a lot of neat experiences in college, high school. You know, I guess you can say all my life. In particular, when I first wanted to drive, you know, I couldn't, you know, find somebody that believed in me enough to believe that I could drive, until I met a friend of mine in college that, you know, he was a really good mechanic there, and he was always, you know, willing to help. And I went up to him and said, "Hey, I want to drive one day. You know, can you help me fix a car?" And he was like, well, do you really think you can drive? And I was like, yeah, I know I can drive. I know I can drive. Just, help me, And so he asked me, okay, well, how do you think you can drive a car? And so I explained to him, the way that I envisioned in my mind, me driving with my feet, that with one foot, push a pedal, this lever that's connected to the gas and the brake, and with the other leg I turn the wheel. And when I explained that to him, he was like, oh, well, that sounds simple enough. And I said, well, can you help me, fix a car to do that? Yeah, he said, yeah, sure, I'll help you, no problem. He said, but you're going to have to buy your own car. Don't think that I'm going to let you borrow mine. And so I was like, okay, yeah, no problem. So I, went to a junkyard and bought this car, that cost me $500 back then, and it was this 1977 Monte Carlo, which is a humongous car, and it felt more like driving a boat than anything. But that was my first car. I loved my car, and that car was great. And I always tell people, it was such a funny experience, getting the opportunity to drive, but at the same time so rewarding to be able to have that freedom once I started driving.
Yeah,
to be able
and
to
now
come
nobody
and
can
go
stop you.
And now nobody can stop me.
You're
That's right.
going all over, not only here in Texas, but you're going all over the nation. And tell us a little bit about the conferences that you're getting ready to do.
Well, I've been doing conferences since the year 2000. My first conference was at a local church here in Houston, where a pastor invited me to go to his church and give my testimony. From there, I went on to doing other conferences from the parents who hired me, to go to their kids' schools and other churches, and just, business owners invited me to go to motivate their sales staff and everybody there at their office. And from there, I'm now literally traveling all over the world. I mostly do Latin America. I do Mexico, South America, and I've been all over the United States from coast to coast. I've been from L.A. to New York, and up from Canada all the way down to the tip of the Florida. What can I say? I've just been blessed to be able to go and travel to all these different places and change lives, which is what have found is my purpose of living. We all have a purpose in life, and I've discovered that mine has been to do these conferences, which the title is called "If I Can, You Can."
That's right, and that's how you guys can reach them at www.ifICanYouCan.com.
Well, it's if I can dash you
Oh,
can.
dash, you can.
Yeah, in English
Actually,
I had to put a dash there
you
in
can
the if
see
I
it.
can you can, because somebody else had already taken the name without the dash, so I put the dash in there. But or if anything, you just look me up by my name, GabrielNajera.com. That's also another way that they can find me.
Awesome.
But most people can't remember how to spell my last name either. So anyway, just look me up. If I can, you can, and you'll see a lot of videos and stuff on YouTube where you can see me doing stuff like swimming, snorkeling, parachuting.
Yeah, because you're unstoppable,
jumping,
and you take
everything
risks
and anything
have fun.
that's fun, you name it, I'm doing it. I always tell people, try anything once, as long as it's legal and moral. Go ahead and do it. Have fun doing it. Don't do anything illegal, because you're going to end up in jail or dead, one of the two. So do everything that's legal and within your reach, and have fun. Enjoy life.
Yes, and guess what? This Saturday, August 18th, we are going to get to paint. We're going to do a workshop called The Art to Live a Better Life, and Gabriel is actually going to be the guest speaker there, and he's going to join us this Saturday. So if you would like more information, reach me out on Facebook, Mariela Cortez, and I'll send you the invitation and all the information. It's also been posted already on Facebook, on my Facebook page. So I hope that you guys can get to join us and meet Gabriel. The opportunities here, it's going to be the first time. Actually, have you been to a paint and art workshop?
No, never. This will be my first time to go do that. I used to paint when I was little. I used to love to paint, and I used to actually, when I was in high school, I made money making paintings and selling them.
Well, hopefully I can inspire you this time to join us and paint and just have fun, expressing yourself through the art.
Oh, yeah, that's always fun when you can get a chance to express who you really are.
Yes, and use the creativity, and we're going to be painting a tree of life, which is a symbol of harmony, joy, and finding your true self. And whatever you end up growing to become, you actually have the control of of that variable. So why not choose wisely, be smart, and be a light in this world, because we need more light and more people that inspire you, to inspire all of us. Thank you again for joining us. Brillando con Mariela Cortez, un placer, a pleasure having you today. I look forward to just having a beautiful friendship in the years to come.
Yes, well, thank you very much for inviting me. It's been very fun. I always enjoy every chance that I get to, do things with you. This will be a really big event this Saturday. We hope everybody can come out and join us this Saturday and get to meet everybody in person. And then maybe we can do another show here on your show every Monday afternoon.
Yes. So we'll see you soon, and don't forget to let us know what is your preference. I wish I could have 2 different shows every time in English and Spanish, but we can make it happen if you guys let us know. And my son Mark will reach out to us via Skype whenever he can with his quotes. So it's so powerful to surround yourself with positive thinking, positive words, and to start on a Monday with a positive sentence. I think it really starts the week. At least it gets you thinking and a little bit more focused.
Y a todos los amigos en español, escríbanle a María Elena y díganle que quieren este programa en español para que vamos a vaya a tomar una cuenta de cuánta gente quiere el programa en español para ver si lo regresamos a español o lo dejamos en inglés. I just
Ustedes
translate.
deciden. Yes, you decide.
But anyway, it's been fun, been great. God bless, and y'all have a great day.
Have a great week. Take care.